It's been like that, you know what I mean? Like the police were just integrated not too long ago, like the schools and all this other shit. So I can see why, you know, the issue is what it is. But the thing is, the problem is, I think a lot of white people, they feel like you don't see the history and it's not talked about as much because we don't talk about this in school. It's not like when you go to school, there's
about that shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You watch movies, and movies are great tools to start conversations. But again, a lot of times when you're young, it's just a movie. It's not real. So I think that if they started having these conversations, and not to make white people look bad, but just to explain the history. You know what I'm saying? Because
just the same way you got the good, you got the bad. You
right. With any races like that. Because I was talking to my the gods of the earth, and what are they called? The 5%ers, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, original man. You know what I'm saying? The black woman is God. All that. You know what I'm saying? He on that type time. So when I'm talking to him, we're talking about history. This is like a conversation I had in prison, right? Mm-hmm. And we was just talking about how when the black people were running the world, they pretty much was doing the same thing that any other dominant race was doing at the time. They had slaves, they had, you know what I'm saying, a lot of things going on, and then the white people were kind of like pushed aside to the mountains and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, and then when they got their time to shine, this is their time now. But just going back into the history of things and how they were, I'm not trying to, you know, make it seem like racism is right or you can be racist or whatever, but I'm saying like you just seen the way history plays itself out, because you'll hear a lot of people will be talking about, well, go ahead.
See, the one thing when people bring that up about, like, you know, Africans had slaves and back in the day black people had slaves, it's not that. I mean, even if you think about it today, prisoners of war are technically slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have people who are prisoners of war. Right, inmates are slaves. People in jail are technically slaves, just a different form. You know what I'm saying? They're doing work for free. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're technically slaves in a form. Now, the difference with back then, it was like, it wasn't mutilation and brutality. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just people just like raping and dissembling a group of people and, you know, keeping a group of people like low.
Well, I wasn't talking about the slave thing. I didn't want to get into that. I just was saying more like, you see the way history, like, they don't talk about the history of things, is what I'm saying. Like, if you notice the history and how, which I'm sure you know, how history played out to where the Europeans became the dominant race of the time, and they tried to go back in and just rewrite history. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm not saying they did. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to make it like they're worse than any other generation or a race that did that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying the history needs to be taught, because people think like when you talk about Europeans and you talk about blacks, like if you really want to get into it, you know what I'm saying? They all came from we are the same people, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All the other dividing situations that we're talking about now are really just like bullshit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you get the racism, I get it. We have to talk about it though, you know what I'm saying? Like the history of it. But the racism thing, like, that's been around, you know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as there was different, you look different, there's gonna be, you know what I mean? The stereotyping, there's gonna be
like, the thing is, I always tell people, and it's kind of funny, like, I'm like, racism isn't gonna go anywhere. And let me explain this like this. Like, I don't want to say this, but it's not anything wrong with being prejudiced. A lot of people are prejudiced. People are gonna be prejudiced. I don't want to say racist, but prejudiced, right? People are gonna have their preference. People are gonna have their fears. You know what I'm saying? Of who they may be afraid of. You may be afraid of a fat person or whatever it is. You know, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You may just have your prejudice towards this because of maybe what you thought you experienced, right? But the problem is to hold a grudge or hold hate. Like, you have people that's like, I'll teach my kids to hate you, like, and someone's never done anything to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, to have like black hate towards somebody like this, your heart, like, you don't see white people like, oh, black people like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna teach my kids, and when they see you shoot at them, like, da 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 da, like, that's just like outright like hate towards somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that's like, where it got to get cleaned up. You feel me? You gonna have the things where you're like, shit, I prefer my kid to marry a white person. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm white, like, I would just prefer that. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, but when now you're like, I will kill the kid because he's black. You know what I'm saying?
With the kid.
Yeah. Or if he get married, like I won't even want to talk to him. Associate is that's a different level. You know what I mean? So it's like people just gotta evolve to where, and in the world you got good people, you got evil people, man. That's what I always try to tell people. It's not, even in the past, even during slavery time, you had good white people during slavery time that were trying to help slaves. You know what I'm saying? And you had the bad ones. You know what I'm saying? There's always been good and bad throughout all times. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, right now, and the thing is, people don't realize, like, the small people, like, it's only a small percentage, but a small percentage of powerful people can do a lot. Like, I always tell people, like, look at the NFL, right? How many teams in the NFL? It's about 32 teams in the NFL, right? Owned by 32 men, right? 32 rich white men control thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you control thousands of football players, workers in the stadium, coaches, team, like,
man, you're pretty much controlling their whole family's future.
That's what I'm saying. Like, out of 31 men, you know what I'm saying? 31, 32 men, you know what I mean? Like, are controlling your destiny and people don't realize that small group of 32 men controls all these thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's just the way, that's a microcosm of how the bigger government works. You know what I'm saying? Where it's a small group of people, but they have so much power and so much money and so much influence that it's like they can control everybody else around it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not really the government.
I'm not saying the government.
I think it's like these businesses, like you say, if you own an NFL team, you're going to be a trillionaire probably before you die, right? Like, think about that number. Even if you're a billionaire, multi-millionaire, those numbers is like astronomical to us. But like, if you got that type of money, you're going to have that kind of influence. But you know, I think too, we need to see like more black people in those positions of leadership, showing us what to do. You know what I'm saying? Showing us like, hey, look, this is where you should invest your money, because we not.
But see, the thing is, and I'm glad you say that. It's like, when the reason why I bring up reparations and stuff, I was talking about that earlier, is like, there's a lot of things that people can't get access to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have somebody try to show you the way, but you may not have access to it. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people that can go get a loan before a black person can get a loan. You know what I mean? Like, they'll loan you $100,000 to go to school or college, but they won't loan you $100,000 for you to start a business. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get certain homes. Like, you'll get redlined in certain homes because of your credit or your background or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to go through different loopholes that the normal person will go through. You know what I mean? And people do get by it. People do get through. People are like, but there's people at the hood that come out and do this. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's like putting 5 people with no legs and all arms in the water and telling them to swim. Like, one person may make it through, but the other 4 are going to drown. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and you can look at the one person with the made it through, like, you're great, you did it. But it's like, you put them in a backward situation to start. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to realize, like, the only way for people to do those things where they can follow the guys that are successful in this is if you get a certain reparations up, because you've been set back so far. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get something to set you forward again. Like,
see, this is something I feel like I should have said too when we were talking about it, because I feel like I understand the argument of reparations, but I don't feel like that's the key. I don't think it's the answer, because like, what's that saying they always say? You can teach a man, or you can give somebody a fish, but if you teach them to fish, they feed themselves the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you give people money and they don't know what to do with it, they're not going to be in any better position than where they were before. They might get things and have, you know, things to show for it, but again, I feel like the bigger picture would be, show us how to gain wealth, because then now I know how to do it. Like, how many times, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, don't want to put nothing out there, you know what I'm saying, on camera, but how many times have you gotten fucked up, lost your money, and got back? You know what I'm saying? Because you know how to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but I'm just using that as an example to say, you could fall off and you know how to get back. Another person, a black person in a situation, or even just a brown person, even a white person in a situation that's fucked up, that don't know how to. Now I'm gonna keep it real. Let's keep it with black people. A black person that's in a situation that's don't know how to manage their money, don't know how to invest money, don't understand the value of money, is not gonna understand it if you give them $100K and be like, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna.
The thing is you're not expecting to give people. You're not just like, here is a Johnny Blue that's living on the side of the street. Here's $100,000 for you to go. Like, that's not how it's gonna be. You know, you got one is going to be stimulus in your account. Another is going to be through education, so you can learn what to do with the money that you have, or you can have opportunities to advance yourself and get more money and more jobs. And three is going to be within housing and building houses, getting easier loans to get homes, things like that. Once you get into housing homes and owning homes, you get in a whole different ballpark of making money. You know what I'm saying?
What I think they should do, I think it should be an incentive-based reparation. Like, all right, if you want this 100K, you gotta, we'll pay for everything. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta come and complete this program. You know what I'm saying? Which the program, like you're saying, if you're giving people education and you're giving them these resources anyway.
I mean, but the thing is, though, you have kids that are 1 to 2 years old that also deserve it without having to go to any program.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
You have people that are 100. You have people that are 85 years old and may not have the capacity to even read anymore. Because they didn't read when they were younger or whatever. That they can't go do the program and they'll be missing out. Like, there's no reason for anyone to miss out on it, because if you give all 50 million citizens, black citizens, at the same time in America, you won't have another one looking like, how come he got one and I didn't? You know what I mean? Like, how come this happened? Like, now you'll have everybody, like, you got one, I got one, your brother got one, like, everybody can work together. We can be like, all right, we'll put 20,000, I'll put about 20,000, we'll start an ice cream truck. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, you can take the community to a different level without keeping people out. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like, again, like, people shouldn't have to jump rope and clap hands for money that's owed to them.
What were you saying about the documentary? What was the documentary about?
So we got a documentary right now following Kennedy High School, the football team. When we first took over the job, it was like open and vacant. Like, people were pretty much turning it down. Like, coaches didn't want to coach there because they hadn't won a game in like 4 years. They were like 1 in like 39, and like, and the kids were quitting. They didn't have a JV football program, so they were like in a bad situation. And they ended up giving one of my buddies, Brandon Driver, the job. He worked at the school. Like, he was like, man, I'll take it. You know what I mean? And it was a mission, man, to really turn it around, get these kids like motivated to even come out to play. Like, imagine, like, you go to a school that sucks, ain't won no games in years. Kids don't even want to come play football. You know what I'm saying? So our first year was like, we were finding kids that did anything, like, come play. You know what I mean? And like, we lost every game that first year. The shit was hard. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, we wanted to win so bad as coaches. You feel me? Like, you're like, yeah, we're gonna come here. We're gonna give these guys just one win. Like, and you just knew how far back they were. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, some people didn't even know what the positions were. You feel me? They're like, there's a quarterback, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, shit, that's where we started from. So like, we took our lumps, got beat. But this year we came back and we won. We almost won like 4 games, but we won 2. The other 2 came down like to the wire. You know what I'm saying? And but we were 2-7, and we made an improvement, and kids started feeling good about themselves. Kids started going to college, and we're shooting just a whole documentary of the process and the change going from like nothing to where we're at now. Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna link that down in the description too, man, because I did watch that one. I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I was watching it and it was being narrated, I kind of felt a little cringe up in my chest. I was like, damn, I feel the struggle, because you ain't won nothing, and then just to get that first win, I felt it with y'all. You know what I'm saying,
bro? Like, so it's funny, man, to be able to see these dudes like really grow, man. Like, I mean, when I say like people did not want to be associated, when we got the position, we had different coaches. Of course, I'm not gonna say their names. They were like laughing, pretty much, like, why would y'all coach there? Like, y'all crazy? Like, y'all got no chance at that school. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, y'all not gonna win games for a long time. And it was just a bunch of just like scuffing. You know what I'm saying? Scoffing, like yeah, okay, like, we'll see. And now coaches be like, man, I don't know how you guys are doing this shit, but we see you guys coming. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because, you see the kids believing in themselves more. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had one of our kids, he actually transferred, which I wish he didn't transfer, but he just got a Division I scholarship offer to William & Mary. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be a senior. He's not even a senior yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, these were kids that we were planning back then. Like, yeah, we're going to put him in D1 scholarships, get him big schools, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, being who he is and, you know, wanting more, you know, being at that school, he's like, man, I want to go to a private school, you know what I'm saying, to get a bigger opportunity. So, more power to him. Hopefully he does great there.
That's what's up, bro, man. I appreciate you giving back like you did, bro. Man. That's really inspiring to me too. If you in the area, where you said the school is?
In Kennedy and Wheaton, Maryland.
All right, man.
Yeah, right by Silver Spring.
If y'all in the area, you know what I'm saying, holla at my man.
Put up to a game, man.
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He gonna get you right if you play for them. If not, y'all better be watching out. You know what I'm saying? It's only getting better.
You feel me?
Yeah. Well, man, look, I appreciate you taking the time out today to stop in and holler at your boy.
Sir.
Appreciate it, man. Till the next time, bro.
Sir.
All right.
Yeah, dog. The whole time we're gonna be like the Remember the Titans once they start winning for real. Like, remember the movie Remember the Titans?
DMG.